Om Stapakaya च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। पवित्रं चरितं यस्याः पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिणे तस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः। नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। ओम सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। We were into non-attachment is complete self-abnegation. Swamiji began his lecture with the influence of one mind over the other, especially connected with an evil mind, wherein we will have two dangers. One is that bringing to that state of frequency. Second one is we ourselves are creating evil thoughts which will influence others later on. As light travels, so also thought also travels. And then with this idea, Swami says, coming to Karma Yoga, good and evil are connected very intricately, meaning every good action will have something evil in it, every evil action will have something good in it. So what is the secret? He who in good action sees that there is something evil in it, and the midst of evil sees that there is something good in somewhere, has known the secret of work. And then Swamiji says, there is no perfectly pure action and impure action, purity and impurity in terms of injury and non-injury. Then how to attain perfection through work? Because Swamiji quotes that work cannot give us perfection, because good and evil are intricately connected. So taking work externally, not subjectively speaking, work we cannot have perfection, because word cannot be perfect. So work in this world cannot be perfect, because work itself is connected with both good and bad some fruits. So Swamiji brings out that explanation, and we had come to the point where Swamiji says, killing selfishness. He had come to this point. Self-abnegation. Here, Jnana, Bhakti and Yoga, including Karma Yoga, the common basis of all the yoga is self-abnegation. A Jnana Yogi will deny his seeming self, this self-seeming self, connected with the Kartatva and Bhoktatva. That seeming self, he denies it and understands that he is the infinite self. Then you have to self-abnegate. But in the same way, a bhakta in the form of Sharanagati, etc. So all the yogas will merge at the point of self-abnegation. To this point, to this extent we had discussed. Now we will continue with today's discussion. Swamiji quotes 4 classes of men in this world. Number 1 is, of course there is a Sanskrit shloka also on this. You may say, you might be knowing this. The first class is God men, who will do good to others in spite of getting injury. Swamiji says, unfortunately, too few are in this world. Second category, first category is where the self-abnegation is complete. There is no this seeming self left in them. So they are God men. Second class, they will do good to the world until they don't get injury in reaction. They will stop actions once they get injury from the world. They will continue good work till they are not injured by the world. That is the second class. Coming to the third class, they will do good to themselves at the cost of others. Majority will be in this area category. We will do good. We will do good to ourselves at the cost of others. You know better. And the last part, Swamiji says, unnameable class of people who injure others for the sake of doing injury to others. They are bent upon doing injury to others. So these are 4 class of men. you will find in this word. With this idea, Swami has introduced to the classes or category regarding self-abnegation. Because he previously quoted killing selfishness is the goal of all yogas. For that he gave this example. Now he will take up two idea, pravritti and nivritti. And of course he will connect it to self-abnegation only. That is the central theme of this chapter, of this lecture. What do you mean by pravritti and nivritti? Most often quoted and heard, maybe millions of times we have heard from our childhood days. Pravritti, nivritti, pravritti, nivritti. So, of course, Swamiji is speaking for the Americans, we have to repeat. Swamiji here, pravritti means revolving round myself. Swamiji did not say leading a worldly life. What he explains here regarding pravritti is revolving round myself, revolving towards others is nivritti. Pravritti, all full of selfishness. Nivritti is the fundamental basis of all morality and all religion, and very perfection of it is entire self-abnegation, readiness to sacrifice mind and body and everything for another being. So, here Swamiji explains in terms of self-abnegation, both pravritti and nivritti. Now, I will read a few sentences. Although a man has not studied a single system of philosophy, although he does not believe in any God and never has believed, although he has not prayed even once in his whole life, if the simple power of good actions has brought him to that state where he is ready to give up his life and all else for others, he has arrived at the same point to which the religious man will come through his prayers and philosopher to his knowledge. Swamiji says, we might have not prayed even once in life, not believe in God, but still, by doing good actions, if you come to a stage where yourself is completely self-abnegated, no ego, if you have killed your selfishness, then you have come to a place where religious man and bhakti gnani have arrived. Based on this idea only, Swamiji in other places, we have read, if somebody has read oft-quote message of Swamiji, Swamiji says, even somebody striving for his own mukti is also not good. We are doing sadhana for my mukti. Somebody says, I am doing sadhana for my mukti. That is also not a good path. Though it is good to the extent of sadhana, but to the extent of self-abnegation, seeking salvation only for oneself is not also acceptable by Swamiji. Because this is the standpoint. A man who has not believed in God, who does not prayed even once, but by doing good actions alone, he has come to that state where all this gnani and bhakta have attained. So, Swamiji says, any begotten person in religion, of any religion, if he studies the life of Buddha, who preached no God, preached nothing but self-sacrifice, will definitely accept Buddha and his messages. Though Buddha did not preach God, though Buddha did not preach anything apart from self-sacrifice, but still any person of any religion, even he may be a fanatic or a bigoted, if he reads the life of Buddha, he will be inspired by the message of Buddha. Because, though he did not preach God, he accepts self-sacrifice. That's why Swamiji says, a man who has killed, a man or woman, who has killed selfishness, is always pleasing and loving by the word. They can understand the value. It's not in any of our external actions. Today morning also I was just quoting. We may do so many yajna, yaga, savana, easy. You perform something, somebody will give money, you collect some money and so worshipfully you do. But finally what has happened to you? We are so religious, especially Hindus. So much religious and so much after yajna yaga. I am not criticizing yajna yaga. Don't misunderstand me. But the point is, These are all good at initial stages. Very good. When you come to a mata, ashrama, any function should have some sacrifice, yajna. Otherwise, you mass pulling is always big yajnas. You see, lectures, a few people will attend. Yajna, I am not criticizing for you, you should not misunderstand. The thing is, anything you see something external, apart from yourself, is not me. It cannot change me. It can suggest, but it cannot change me. Is it not? Anything, you see Sri Ramakrishna only in temple, you see some place is holy, these are all external to me. So, it can give suggestion, it will help me in my sadhana, but that itself will not lead to me to anywhere. Until unless there is something going on. If you allow me to use the word, there is a change in my consciousness. When we speak of karma yoga, that's also one of the part. How does karma evolve your consciousness? Pure, we are not talking of pure consciousness. This I, connected with body and mind, is also conscious till I sleep, go to deep sleep. So how to evolve this consciousness to higher state? This work will make me to evolve. The evolution of this consciousness. So, how to change this consciousness? Anything external will be a little, in a way, help us. But in a longer run, until unless there is self-abnegation. That's why Swami says, any begotten person who reads Buddha, though he does not preach God, will be inspired by the message of Buddha. Because the self-abnegation is complete there. So, again he compares with all other yogas. By a bhakta says, thy will be done. A philosopher with his knowledge sees that seeming self is a delusion and easily gives it up, etc., etc. So, now he gives one more definition of word. He began with the idea of pravritti and nivritti. So, he gives one more definition. When you speak of a spiritual life, always we say worldly life and spiritual life. We would try to differentiate between worldly life, secular, and now modern terminology, secular and sacred. So, Swamiji very simply, but it has got lot of depth in it. Swamiji says, what do you mean by word? The thing called selfishness is nothing but word. Once you are unselfish, is nothing but God. Selfishness is word, unselfishness is God. This is one of the famous statements of Swami Vivekananda. Unselfishness is God. Many people will quote this idea. This is from Karma Yoga only. So, when man is completely unselfish, he is nothing but God himself, where self-abnegation is complete. That's why Swamiji now he has to give us an idea or the way out. He is trying to explain selfishness and unselfishness. He has come to this point. Selfishness is word, unselfishness is God. Now again he takes up the point of every good action has got some element of evil and every evil action has got some element of goodness. What is the way out? What is the way out? The easiest way is don't do any work. Easiest way. Appiye vakarano, enna pannakudadu. You simply sit, don't do. So simply sit quite. But of course, that's also not possible for a longer time. So Swamiji says, according to some way, they will suggest you for a slow suicide. You reduce your food, you reduce sleep, slow on going on, and then one day you will die. But the true message Swamiji brings, as I told you, this is the extension of the secret of work. So again Swamiji brings the same idea, but he has added some few newer ideas, that's all. So, what Bhagavad Gita says is, the solution is unattached work. So, this unattached or non-attachment, we have discussed a lot in our previous chapter. So, this unattached or non-attached work, to what extent? To what extent? Swamiji gives quotes one shloka from Bhagavad Gita. It's inverted. Anything that is in inverted commas, you should be aware that he is quoting from somewhere. If you have read scriptures, then you will understand that this sentence are from particular scripture. So Swamiji here gives a free translation of the sloka. Swamiji says, even if he kill the whole universe or be himself killed, he is neither the killer nor the killed, when he knows that he is not acting for himself at all. This comes in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yayenam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubauto na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. It's one of the famous slokas. Krishna is telling Arjuna. The summary of this is, if you read simply the meaning, then you will be confused. What if even he kills? What to that extent? Or be himself killed? Then that he is not acting for himself at all. The summary, the sara of this shloka is, he has no selfishness left in him at all. Whatever actions that he performs, the fruit of actions will not affect him. So, even in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you have come across that famous illustration Sri Ramakrishna gives there. Vyasa has come to the bank of Yamuna, he is waiting, and gopis also are waiting. I think it may be a raining season, it was flowing full, they could not cross the river, neither there was a boat, and they were waiting for the, maybe in one sense, a low tide. They were waiting for water to recede. Then Vyasa comes there, then he says, I am feeling very hungry. They all feed him nicely. He will empty almost everything of these gopis, butter, milk, etc., whatever they had. And finally they requested Vyasa, we have to cross the river, do something. Then he goes near river Yamuna and prays, if I have not eaten anything, let this river become two and allow us to pass through, and we will reach the other shore. Immediately the Yamuna parted and they all walked to the other shore. And initially they were confused. Yes, he emptied all our eatables, nothing left. But still he says that I have not eaten anything. If Vyasa says, this comes in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna quotes this. If I have not eaten anything, he does not say, I have eaten, still if I know. He says, if I have not eaten anything, let this Ibhaga, let this Yamuna becomes two, part away so that I can cross. And it allowed them all, gopis and Vyasa, to cross the river. That's the story that's quoted in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So the meaning is, Ubhauto na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. You cannot kill it. What you cannot kill? The consciousness. So, when you are at a state of that infinite consciousness, these actions of this body and mind will not reach there. Jnana, what do you mean by jnana? The jnana of your eternal nature. That will once for all release you from all the relative things which are obstructing you, so-called obstructing you, which can never obstruct you, because consciousness is always consciousness. So, that awareness has to come. That is what the Jnanodaya. Here, Swamiji says, first, when you are working, of course, Swamiji is explaining the highest stage, where we have to reach through all these actions. First, kill yourself and take the whole world upon yourself. Till then, it's not possible. First, kill yourself and take the whole world as yourself. Kill it. Till then, it's not possible. So, explaining, Swamiji gives in a lighter sense, generally, some parents may pray for their sake of the children. They say, Swamiji says, O Lord, foolish parents teach their children, O Lord, Thou hast created this sun for me and this moon for me, as if the Lord had nothing else to do than to create everything for these babies. And in another foolish way, they also say, they teach us that all these animals were created for us to kill and eat, and this universe is for the enjoyment of men. On the contrary, Swamiji says, if you say, this is the question of there is a question of survival and enjoyment. You take food for the sake of your survival, but not for enjoyment. You should understand that meaning here. That's why if you think that these animals are there for us to enjoy and eat, then on the contrary, the animals also may prey. In what sense? Swami says, a tiger may say, man was created for me, and pray, O Lord, how wicked are these men who do not come and place themselves before me to be eaten. They are breaking your law. If you think that these animals are there for us to eat and enjoy, the animals also say, these men are there for us to enjoy. So, this world is never meant for enjoyment. It is only meant for the soul to perfection. Apart from this, there is no story left in it. You may argue with thousands of logic, but still that is the truth. For that, now he says, he is giving the idea, that's all. I have told you, we discussed earlier, he is giving some ideas in this chapter. We are just progressing with the idea. Here, Swamiji quotes, my master used to say, how to look upon the word? Look upon the word and work as a nurse does, dasi bhava. As a nurse does. Sri Ramakrishna quotes this. Is it not? As a dasi, you have to be, stay and work in this world. Even when Master Mahashay, Mahendranath Gupta, approached Sri Ramakrishna, then he asked few questions. And he asked this one also. How to live in this world? He asked this question also. How to live in this world? What does Sri Ramakrishna suggested him? You live in this world as a dasi. How does a dasi will work at their owner's house? She will take care of all the children and all the household belongings as though it belongs to her, saying he is my Rama, she is my Krishna, she is my Sita, etc. But the day when she is asked to leave the home, she will leave immediately without carrying anything. As a dasi, that is dasi bhava. So this instruction Sri Ramakrishna gave to Master Mahashaya when he asked for a spiritual instruction how to live in this world. He gave two upadesha. One is be a dasi, have a bhava of dasi bhava. Second one is as long as you live, do swayam paka. Live on self-cooking. To yam, he suggests for yam. These are all very much true. You may not accept it. You will understand only when you practice it. Until then, you will not understand. There are a lot of subtlety connected. I don't want to go into detail now regarding, we are dealing with karma yoga. But there are a lot of things connected with it. The person who serves you, the person who cooks, the things that are connected with it. When we are in a preliminary stage, all these restrictions should be taken care of. When you are past a certain stage, these things will never bother us. Nothing to worry. So, here, when for Master Mahashaya, when Sri Ramakrishna says, you have the bhava of dasi, I want to give one example that happened in his life only. Later on, when Sri Ramakrishna has left his body, he stayed in his third floor. He used to call his room as Naimisharanya. Master Mahashaya used to refer to his room as Naimisharanya, one of the holiest place near Lucknow, where they say there is Vishnu Chakra and all those things. So many stories connected with Naimisharanya. So, he used to refer to his room as Naimisharanya. And then many devotees also monks from Ramakrishna Mission used to invite him for lectures on Sri Ramakrishna and Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna during many functions, etc. So he used to often go outside for meeting devotees, going outside the city. Sometimes if he comes late in the night, comes back to his house late in the night. There is one instance reported by Swami Nityatmananda, who stayed with him. So, it was quite late in the night, and they both were climbing the steps towards his room, and Master Mahashaya was in the front, followed by Nityatmananda in the back. So, early he was not yet taken sannyasa, he was still a boy. He was following him. Then, before going to his room, in the second floor, the door was still open. This Nityatmananda could see Master Maha's wife and children gossiping, and they had not taken food in the night. So, He was about to enter the room and request for food. Immediately M saw him going towards his house and he simply dragged him and called him. Why are you going to our house? Then he says, sir, we have not taken food. I am asking them if something left over they can give us. Immediately what M says? Sri Ramakrishna has told me to live a life of Dasi Bhava. If a Dasi comes late at home, nobody keeps food for them. You should not ask food night in the food. He exactly lived in the same bhava till his death. We don't go deeper into messages. While following, you will understand the intricacies. That's why Shravana Manana Nididhyasana is given as instructions. You have to do. So, M obstructs him, says, no. Sri Ramakrishna told me to leave a Dasi. A Dasi will never get night food if she goes and comes back from her hometown. So you should not ask. Then he gave 2 paisas to him. In the corner of this sword, there is one vendor who sells chapati. You bring 2 chapatis and a glass of milk. I will take that. The Dasi will not. It's his own house, his own wife, his own children. But still, because Sri Ramakrishna instructed him to live like a Dasi, till his death he had the same bhava. And second thing, regarding self-cooking, even the day he passed away, on that day, morning, he cooked his food, ate, cleaned utensils, and then passed away. He carried this instruction of Sri Ramakrishna till his last minute of his death. Till his death. So that's why Swamiji says, look upon your children as a nurse thus, where though you see them and serve them, but still there is no attachment left because there is no selfishness attached to it. The moment there is selfishness, you have got pravritti. Unselfishness is nivarti, that is nothing but selfishness is God. And hence, in this world, nobody is dependent on anybody. Nobody is dependent on anybody. Swamiji takes up this second idea. After this Dasi Bhava, now he comes to this idea. It is a weakness to think that anyone is dependent on me and that I can do good to another. This belief is the mother of all our attachment, and through this attachment comes all our pain. Problem with attachment is pain. So, let us say you are doing some seva. Let us say you go and do, at the basic level, you go and serve food to the poor, maybe in a slum or on a road, or you go to some government schools now. Many NGOs are coming forward to teach in the government schools on the weekends. You go and teach them. Generally, what's the idea? Oh, I have served them. That's the feeling, that's quite natural. But Swamiji says, we are being blessed to have the privilege of serving. Only a blessed privilege to you and me that we are allowed in the way of helping others. Swamiji will give some more explanations on this. What is the meaning that we are being allowed? There is one song by Purandara Dasa in Kannada, Enu Dhanyalo, Lakumi Anta Manyalo. There is one charana. What does they say? Koti Koti Bhrityaralu Hatakambana Sevege. There are crores of people waiting to serve Vishnu, but why I am privileged? Because he has selected me. It's not that I am competent enough to do it, no. It's a privilege that he has selected me and allowed me to do this. This world is not dependent on anybody. Even our family, don't cry. We think, you may think definitely, oh, we have to take, be a Dasi Bhava, do whatever is possible, and the karma will definitely follow. So Swamiji continues and says, when you have trained your mind and your nerves to realize this idea that this world is not dependent on me, realize this idea of the world's non-dependence on you or on anybody, there will then be no reaction in the form of pain resulting from work. Why everybody is afraid of work, waiting for retirement? Because there is pain attached with work. when we are, that's why I just remember, you should, when we are doing puja, many people say, Swamiji, my spiritual life is not so good. Then I asked them, what do you mean by spiritual life? They think they restrict the idea of spirituality only to visiting temple or in the morning sitting for 1 hour. They go to so many courses now. So many courses are available on meditation. Attend some meditation course, sit at home, meditate. After meditation, spirituality is lost. Is it not? We are very perfect, and then on Monday do Shiva Sahasranama and Shiva Abhisheka. Guruvara visit Raghavendra Swami temple, Friday go to a Devi temple, Saturday Shani Mahatma, very much we have to, and then Sunday free day, holiday. So, very much aware of spirituality only in a particular place and at a particular time. Then I asked, definitely, do you really call that a spirituality? Because what are you when you are working? Are you not the same person when you sat for meditation and the same person while work? Why are we having pain when we work? It is always the clash of ego in work. Forget about good and evil. Swamiji concludes that idea of good and evil at the end. What do you mean by good and what do you mean by evil? He will conclude that idea. So, generally, we are trying to do good in the world. We are not concerned with the day-to-day activity of a family life. No, we are not concerned because we are discussing Karma Yoga. So, we are worried how to transcend work. So, when we say that, why there is pain in the work? No family can run on a smoother way with grease. Never possible. Why? Always there is clash of ego. Definitely it's question of ego. That's why Swamiji says, it is you gave him, suppose you have given some food, you gave him what he deserved. His own karma got it from him. Your karma made you the carrier thereof. Why should you be proud of having given away something? Many times all this idea comes, suppose you are working for long and serving in a society in XYZ areas, and suppose they don't compliment it, if the word does not compliment us, at least by a gratitude, by way of gratitude, by expressing few words of love, Swamiji, thank you, you have done so much, thank you Swamiji. Even a small word of gratitude, it will not be there generally in many times. Then what we say, you have done so much, you could not say thanks at least. That's why Swamiji says, don't have that idea. Because, why should you be proud of? Because definitely that person is going to get food today. Without you, in spite of you, or with you. He is going to get it. Only thing, God has made a privilege that you are the carrier of the karma. I am the carrier. If you deny it, somebody will be the carrier, but that person is going to get the food today. Don't worry. If you know the way we perform yajnas, what is the way? Any devata or devi or devata, we do yajna taking the help of Agni, is it not? No other way. Agni is the medium through which we all perform actions. So, what does that signify? Agni is called as the Purohita. What do you mean by Purohita? Purohita means, suppose you go to a temple, you are not allowed to go inside the temple and perform rituals to that particular deity. Vishnu, Govinda, Narayana, Devi, so many are there in our Hindu. 33 crores, 330 crores. So many devatas, Devi, you won't go and you are not allowed. On behalf of you, Purohita will perform the action. He will ask your Nama, Gotra, Rashi, etc. And then he will ask your which, of course, Vedas nobody will remember. Which Veda you ask? That connection is completely gone. Veda, which Veda? We don't know which Veda we follow, which Rishi we are. So, that Purohita will perform all our actions on behalf of us. In the same way, when you perform yajna, let us say, you do Chandika Homa in Agni only. So, Sudarshana Homa in Agni only. Ganapati Homa in Agni only. So, he is called the Purohita. He is the carrier who will carry all your oblations to the particular deity. So, that's why we pray to Agni. Oh Agni, I pray to you to carry all these oblations. There is a prarthana in Sanskrit. In Veda also it is there. Please carry all these oblations to the respective gods. That's why Agni is very, very worshipped in all ritualistic way. Even if you do Purascharana Japa, you have to conclude by Yajna. 1/3 with how many mantras you have taken. So many mantras. Let us say your Purascharana means Gayatri mantra, 24 lakhs you have to do. So you have to at least give related to 24 ahuti of Gayatri in the form of oblations of ghee, etc. in the fire. Or perform so much again Nama Japa to, if you are not able to perform any yajna. That's why the part of yajna is Agni, not yajna. Agni is the Purohita, carrier. In the same way, in this world, you are only the carrier thereof. So, by non-attachment, you overcome and deny the power of anything to act upon you. Swamiji began this discussion. In this whole world, there is no power in nature to deny the fruit of action to the. If you have performed a particular action, the fruit of action will definitely come. No power on this earth to obstruct that reaction. So, how to avoid that? It is only by the bhava of dasi, or in another sense, be a carrier. There is nothing for us to do. So, when you have this idea, then this world is neither good nor evil. This is very, very important statement. Only when you have this idea of dasi, that is for non-attachment, that is self-obligation, then there will be neither good nor evil for you. The sign is that good or ill fortune causes no change in his mind. In all conditions, he continues to remain the same. You remember so many stories, Rama story, he was the next day. It's of course the highest example, but of course we have to remember. He was supposed to become a Yuvaraja Pattabhisheka Shwaha, tomorrow. But still, he was called in a few hours again, he was called and asked to go to forest. Before leaving, even a single wave of thought will not be there in his mind, criticizing his father, neither the mother. Before leaving, what does Rama will do? He will do pradakshina to Dasharatha and Kaikeyi. Dasharatha, he could not even utter that you go to forest. It is Kaikeyi who says all these things to Rama. Dasharatha will be a witness. He could not even utter a word. Then when Rama starts moving, he collapses. He becomes unconsciousness. He could not tolerate the idea of Rama leaving Ayodhya. Then he collapses, exhausted. He is completely exhausted with full of emotion. He could not control. He collapses. Then Rama comes forward, makes him sit on his throne, do pradakshina and simply leave. What we will do, if we are supposed to say, hey, Barbari, don't come to our ashrama from tomorrow. We will hate and criticize and do all necessary mental reactions and then leave the place. But Rama, no, not even mental reaction. He did the pradakshina. You should have an idea of Rama's mental condition. What is that state of his mind? It is actually an instinct. It's not a very conscious action. This anger, lust and greed, the problem with all this anger, lust and greed is it's an instinct. These are all not conscious actions. You should be aware that there is one level is consciousness, where you are conscious of all actions and idea and thought. But there is beyond mind something called subconscious. All the instinct comes from subconscious mind, where we are not aware of anything. In deep sleep, we are not aware of sleep itself. So, all these impressions are hidden there. It comes. So it means even in Rama's subconscious mind, there are no impressions of selfishness. He is so unselfish even at the state of subconscious level. We are all saint on a conscious plane. Until unless we are not troubled, we are saints, good Swamis, good devotees, going to temple, coming to ashrama, doing self-cooking and doing prarthana and adhyanam. But when it comes to subconscious instinct level, how far are you able to control it? So Rama, if I can say, even he was unselfish. It's my interpretation. He was unselfish even at the level of subconscious level. Because it did not act as an instinct. It came in the conscious. So Swamiji says, no change. You will have no reaction of work. The problem with all karma, you take anybody for that example. Anybody, nobody, generally, I cannot say nobody, majority. Majority are not happily, they will not do work. If you something, they get extra, then there will be some way channel, somebody will be the scapegoat to have his anger, receive his anger. It happens in work. So, now Swamiji concludes this non-attachment is self-abnegation lecture with a story from Vyasa and Shukha that you know very often. Of course, Swamiji is speaking to Americans, so he has to refer to all these stories. But there is a nice introduction by Swamiji. He starts by saying there is a great sage in Vyasa. Vyasa was not perfect. He was not perfect in the sense of 100. Perfection means in the sense of absolute perfection. Vyasa was not perfect. He could not become perfect. Swamiji says, his father tried to become perfect, but failed. His grandfather tried to become perfect. He failed. His great-grandfather tried to become perfect. He failed. From where Swamiji refers, I don't know, but Swamiji. We have heard of only Vyasa and Shuka, but Swamiji says great-grandfather means many generations of his family tried to become perfect, but they could not become perfect until Shuka was born. Shuka was a perfection by birth. There is one, even Ramakrishnanji Maharaj quotes one incident from Shuka to that Asim Chaudhary. It comes in reminiscences. Shuka renounces his house at a younger age and just moves away into the forest. Vyasa follows Shuka to bring back the child back to home. Then Shuka is running into the forest, and in the meantime, while moving in the forest, his body touches a bit of tree here and there. And the explanation there, it goes saying that the trees were thrilled by the touch of Shuka. That was his vairagya. He has such a vairagya in him, that purity, a condensed purity, Shuka. So, at such a younger age, though in one sense they are all non-living beings, the tree, but still the touch of Shuka, in Kannada they use Romanchana. They were thrilled. The trees were thrilled by the touch of Shuka. That's the explanation given regarding Shuka when he moves to the forest. So Swamiji says, but his son Shuka was born perfect. Now the thing is, Vyasa taught him the wisdom. When you say wisdom, it is Atma Vidya. You have to understand it is Atma Vidya. And then he wanted to send him to Janaka. Janaka's other name is Videha Janaka. Videha means he is not having the consciousness of his body. Videha, Deha, without Deha, Videha. So he was without a body. Without a body meaning he had completely lost conscious of his physical plane. So he sent to Janaka, Videha Raja. So the test was, he went to the kingdom of Janaka and he was asked to wait near the gate itself. The guards did not give any attention except they offered him a seat to sit, and he sat there for maybe 3 days, something. 3 days, 8 days. In our culture, every number has got some value. They will you ask questions. Every number they will give some or the other logically. Why Janvara 3? They will have some explanations. Anyhow, he was sitting for some few days there without being taken care of. Swamiji says, He was the son of a very great sage. His father was honored by the whole country, and he himself was a most respectable person, but still he was ignored. And then after 3 or 4 days, then the gods came. He was made to enter into all the splendor room and all luxury, so much with fragrance. He was given bath, given the highest wonderful clothing that can be given on earth, etc., etc. Then finally he came to King Janaka, who was sitting on a throne with so many musics and dances and amusements were going on in the hall. And Janaka asked this sugar gave him a cup of milk or oil, anything you can add, meaning liquid. So he was given a cup full of oil or milk to the brim, and he was asked to go around the hall 7 times without spilling a drop of it from the vessel. And then Shuka came back without spilling a single drop of milk and gave back to Janaka. So when he came back, Janaka utters one word. What your father has taught you and what you have learned yourself, I can only repeat. You have known the truth. Go home. So, what does this finally convey? Swamiji says, thus the man that has practiced control over himself cannot be acted upon by anything outside. There is no more slavery for him. The question is, the solution is, until unless, you see, this is a very important aspect. Why we criticize karma is, we don't have at the basic level self-control. Indriya Nigraha is not at all there. So, when we don't have Indriya Nigraha, definitely you will be acted upon by the world. When we are acted upon by the world, we are very surely there to criticize everything. Even in that story of that Alexander trying to bring a holy man, then his soldier came, then finally Alexander came and he took out his sword and threatened that holy man, that sadhu, I will kill you if you don't come to me to Greek. Then what does he reply? Of course, in the first part he will say, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainandati Pagavaka, etc. In the second part he will explain that you are a slave to my slave. Oh, King Alexander, you might have conquered half the world, but still you are a slave to my slave. And he could not understand. What do you mean by slave to your slave? See, you are very angry at me. That anger is my slave. And you are slave to that anger. So you are a slave to my slave. So, we will be acted upon by the world. Once if you don't have that Indriya Nigraha, for any yoga, that is the first basic principle. If you don't have self-control, neither bhakti, nor yoga, nor karma, nor jnana, simply you lead a normal life. Don't get confused with this spiritual life at all. Don't come to this area at all. Be happy where you are. But once you enter, this is the first principle, Indriya Nigraha. First basic principle. That's why Swamiji says, that anger, lust and greed are slaves. If we have anybody who have all these ideas, are having the idea of slavery in them. That's why when Swamiji saw the slavery on a national level, without a political freedom, what does Swamiji say? To preach religion, first we need political freedom. Swamiji, once he comes back to India after 4 years of West, first time, and then 1.5 years of West. What does Swamiji say? We want to reach this idea of Vedanta. But where are men? We don't have first at the basic level political freedom. First we need political freedom, then strength of muscles, then comes the mind, then self-control, then Vedanta. You have read lectures from Colombo to Almora? That's why, until unless there is Indriya Nigraha, you are certain to complain. If you are in IT company, certain to complain. You are about project manager, you are director, you are vice president, and you are director manager. Definitely it is there. If it in a ashrama, you are criticizing the secretary, the adhyaksha, or office manager. That is sure. Why? We don't have Indriya Nigraha. That's why Swamiji says, we will be acted upon by the world. So, when we begin, we will always have a pessimistic idea about this world. This world is full of evil. Of course, there may be a lot of evil. You may say, Swamiji, is there not corruption? Is there not political, so many activities conducted? There was so much mafia, drug mafia, arm mafia, so many mafias going on. What do you say? We didn't say it's not there. What we say, don't be acted upon by those ideas on your brain, because you are going to attain mukti by being unselfish. By that, you should not be acted upon. Your mental state should not be disturbed by any activities of the world. Because it is relative. How to define it, we don't know. Anirvachaniyam iti jagat. That's why you should not be acted upon. When we are especially a karma yogi, we are taking karma itself as a sadhana to realization. We have to work, we have to be in the society, we have to be with the people. When you are with the people, you should not be acted upon by the world. Be aware, beware. That's why Swamiji says, some men who begin by saying that the world is a hell, often end by saying that it is a heaven when they succeed in the practice of self-control. We begin by saying this world is full of evil. But one who succeeds in self-control, that is Indra Nigraha, then when they succeed in the practice of self-control, they themselves will say this world is full of heaven. If we are genuine karma yogi, then it has to end up with perfect self-obligation. Swamiji says, its very atmosphere will be blessed. Every human face, there will be God. Such is the end and aim of Karma Yoga, and such is its perfection in practical life. You can remember Sri Ramakrishna saying, this word is mart of joy, Ananda Bhavana. Sri Ramakrishna, from where does it refer? Because when we come to the perfect nature of ourselves, this word has no connection with this our internal perfect nature. If you can understand it, there is I want to add one more point or idea here. Swamiji says, the perfect heaven when they succeed in the practice of self-control and seeing this word as a mart of joy, you just think, what is the source? We know. I am just guiding you to that part of your idea. What is the source of joy? It is the Anandam Bhaga of the Atman. Anandam Bhaga is Anandam Swarupa of the Atman. Is it not? What is the source of happiness? What is the source of joy in this world? Because of Swarupa Ananda, we are feeling joy. So, work directly is not at all connected with your joy in that sense. Work neither will, it is a channel or avenue to express your Ananda. All evil actions will not allow you for the Swarupa to express itself as Ananda. We are speaking of the Ananda Bhaga. So all good actions will allow the Ananda Swarupa to express itself. Maximum is in self-obligation. So that Swarupa Ananda comes out. The source is within. So any of the work has no effect on this Ananda, if you can understand the source. That's why criticizing or avoiding work is not so. You incessantly you have to work in this world. That is the, don't keep idle. Do work, do study, do exercise. Don't be idle. Even on Sundays, I tell you. Even no sun, don't take holiday. There is no holiday. Though if you somebody, of course you, I don't know about you, but don't have holiday idea at all. Mind is a very peculiar thing. So don't have holidays. No holidays. Even on Sunday, you be busy with some other thing apart from your company's work. Busy yourself completely. Because don't keep this mind idle. But in what sense? Don't become a workaholic. Seeking work. Working for the sake of expressing our inner joy, that's all. As a carrier. As a joy. And even all karma, adhyayanam, japam, dhyanam, all these are karmas only, is it not? Any karma, but be engaged. If you are more happy in Swadhyaya, be happy with Swadhyaya. More happy with meditation, be more happy. But engage the whole day without any holiday. Here, that's why Swamiji says, when you, Sri Ramakrishna's example, this word is a mart of joy if you basically have self-control. That is the basic principle. Now, for this idea, the whole secret, Swamiji concludes, the whole secret is in practicing. I will conclude in 3 minutes. It's already 6:42. The whole secret is in practicing. These few sentences which I am going to read, I have already read in my introductory class on Karma Yoga. The whole secret is in practicing. First you have to hear, then think, and then practice. This is true of every yoga. Means Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam. This is true of every yoga. You have first to hear about it and understand what it is, and many things which you do not understand will be made clear to you by constant hearing and thinking. Hear, think, practice. Hear, think, and practice. That will make many things clear. So, when you start first to hear, suppose say, you hear about Kashi, Varanasi, that is the holiest place, even Harishchandra was allowed, though he had given in sacrifice as a dhana to Vishwamitra, a whole kingdom, Varanasi was also in under his kingdom. But why he went and stayed in Varanasi? Because Varanasi, as a sampradaya tradition, Varanasi does not belong to any king. It is on the Trishula. Its location is on the Trishula of Shiva. Meaning that part of the land does not belong to anybody. It belongs directly to God. Though all these indirectly belong to God, we say our house, our place, our 30-40 site, we have pledged 8 crores to this, anything you may say. But you cannot say that even that also regarding Varanasi. So, that part does not belong to anybody except Shiva. That's why he went and stayed. Harishchandra went and stayed. So, when you hear all those things, what is that you get? You get a feeling that you have to visit Varanasi, is it not? Once you hear noble thoughts, first there arises the feeling. The feeling should be converted into willing. If you go on feeling, it will lead to willing. So, to enrich feeling, you have to hear and hear more and think more. If you want to realize Atman, what is Shravanam? Sada Shravanam, Sada Mananam, Sada Dididhyasam, Karaniyam Eva. You have to do it, no other option. So that's why hearing about Karma Yoga, hearing about unselfishness, that is God, etc., you will start a feeling. It's all ideas of Swamiji. I am trying to explain, that's all. I am not adding anything. It's all given here. Because of shortage of time, just reading through. So, finally, I will conclude by reading few sentences, very wonderful sentences. First, it is feeling, then it becomes willing. And out of that willing comes the tremendous force for work, and that will go through every vein and nerve and muscle until the whole mass of your body is changed into an instrument of the unselfish yoga of work, and the desired result of perfect self-abnegation and utter unselfishness is duly attained. So, this attainment does not depend on, please note, dogma, doctrine, belief, or any other thing. You may be a Christian, you may be a Muslim, you may be a Swami, you may be a householder. But attaining perfect self-abnegation does not depend on any religion, any dogma, any philosophy, na Bhagavata, nothing. It's a state of my nature, of my Swarupa. Who can deny? Even none of the Puranas or Veda can deny it. So that's why Swamiji says this attaining. Once this feeling gets converted into willing, and then you are able to attain to that state, that state cannot be influenced by any of the so-called external things in the form of ritual, dogma, etc., etc. That's why with this idea, Swamiji says, non-attachment is self-abnegation. With this, we have concluded this chapter, and only one chapter, that's the last one, freedom, is left. So, in the first week of next month, we will be continuing with the last chapter, with which we will be able to conclude the Karma Yoga of Swami Vivekananda by concluding the last chapter, that is freedom. Next Sunday we will be having Leela Prasanga, Sri Ramakrishna's Leela Prasanga in Kannada. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.